My volume's too loud though.
Still offline, but it can take to a minute.
I'll just mute it. It says I am live here. Because we're that professional. It also says the stream health is yellow. I don't even know what that means, but yellow's not good, right? Ari?
Try refresh. I do not see anything.
Well, you're not watching, according to this, so...
Oh, hang on, 1 sec.
Are you being bad?
Me.
Oh, there's a watcher now. I'll bring up OBS.
Alright, now it's loaded. Pickle.
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 Pickle. Pickle. Pickle, pickle. Oh my goodness, what are you doing?
I can hear you on the stream, Vol, but I can't hear you on the Discord.
Oh my goodness.
Setup.
How is that even possible?
There we go, now I hear you.
So much for
Now
streamer mode, Discord.
Yeah. Okay. So, Pickle.
Pickle.
Okay, I can hear you now. So, we good?
I have no idea.
Well,
You're the one who's monitoring that.
yeah, well, it seems to be working on the stream when I refresh it. So, okay. I guess we will get started then. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to a Duct Tape and Happy Thoughts episode of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com and YouTube.com. Their favorite show hosts are still.
And Volacel, and maybe you're having happy thoughts. I'm mainly angry at my computer because it's not cooperating. But, yeah, we're here to attempt to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week. But, yeah, well, we don't have a Fern, and he's the one who runs all the technologies, and I don't know how to work this thing. So,
Vol's running the stream, and I am occasionally checking in because I can't keep it open and keep my internet stable. So this is going to be fun.
Your country is so much wealthier than mine. I just don't understand how you can have worse internet than me. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I know. I'm just growling under my teeth.
We can't hear that. But
I know.
yeah, so I'm just going to be derping around in the starter area of Ontario because I've never seen the starter area before because they keep changing it. But in the meantime, we're going to do our best to bring the newses, but this is not really a good time for news because Gamescom starts on Tuesday. Nobody's going to announce anything the week before Gamescom, so yeah.
Yeah. We still got you the show, though, despite literally being swamped in work all week and us both dying, along with apparently the rest of the planet was sick. We're still here with a show. We don't miss no gig, man.
If you would like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord server, which is most easily accessed by going to vtwproductions.com and clicking on the show logo on any of our recent show posts, which should take you directly to our Discord server. And on that you can, post whatever you like. Try and liven the place up a bit. Because mostly it's me being trolled by Ari posting Pull My Devil Trigger.
Your frustration is getting bigger.
It very much is.
Yeah. We're not about highbrow humor on that Discord. At all.
No, and I'm being memed to death by that damn thing.
Oh dear. So, I think there's no ferns, so I guess we start with your week.
Well, I mean, I don't really have much of a week as such. Well, I was sick, much like the rest of the world apparently, including most of my workmates. And that was a problem because it meant that work was even more appalling when I was there. So I took off a day to try and recover, and that was a wise move because I would never have survived the day that followed when I went back. But I didn't really get much game playing because mainly this particular illness seemed to go that I was able to hold the symptoms at bay, but I had to pay a cost in raw stamina. So I didn't get it as bad as some of the other people who had the same bug, but where they had their sinuses exploding, instead I was just utterly fatigued the entire time. Like, if I sat down and didn't do something to occupy myself, I would just fall asleep. So, yeah, it was a rough week. And
Yeah.
sitting down and doing nothing, prompting you to fall asleep, means that you can't game very easily. You just don't have the sort of required energy. So yeah, I didn't really play much in the way of Vidya. I did the usual playing of FGO that I do. The summer event is over. I completely botched the end of the event, like horribly, irreversibly botched it, and I'm still kicking myself over that. I didn't realise until it was too late that there are actually three crystallized laws you can get from the event, not one. And so I missed two of them, and they're extremely limited item and extremely necessary. So, yeah, I just basically shot myself in the foot big time. And there's nothing I can do about that. There's no, as far as I am aware, there is no way to ever recover laws that you miss on North America, at least. I don't know if they've introduced a thing in Japan to get laws, but they're a limited item in the American server. So, yeah, I'm deeply, deeply frustrated about that. But overall, the event was very successful for me, aside from that, in the sense that I got pretty much everything that I hoped for. It was overall very, very, very lucky for me, basically. Like, all of the luck that I hadn't had until now all paid off, and I continued to be stalked by Kiyohime. But the next event, the Prisma Ilya event, has been announced, and we will be in for, roughly a month or so of FBI jokes in the FGO communities, because that's just what happens during Prisma Ilya season. It's pretty much inevitable. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the event, though, because it is guaranteed to be unbelievably silly, as they usually are, because it's an event where basically the only characters that you use are ones that you can jam into the Magical Girl mold. And when I say jam them in there, I mean really jam them in there. So all the female characters can participate, plus Chevalier Dion, whichever gender Chevalier is, and Astolfo, for reasons which remain Astolfo. So, yeah, because apparently Astolfo is a magical girl.
Astolfo is Astolfo gender.
Yeah.
It's like Hideyoshi, that way.
It has a separate bathroom.
Yep.
But, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that event. I've got a few good female characters, like, even though Shiki is not really magical girl material, conventionally speaking, I think she's still on the list. The more like a magical girl they are, I think the more bonus damage they get. So yeah, I'm not really sure how that's all going to work out. Hopefully it's not too rigorous, because I don't have very many characters, period. But I did get I did get Nursery Rhyme recently, so if I can jam a few XP cards into that one, that should help. Although I don't think I've got quite that many. I've got Summer Martha up to max level with max foos. I haven't leveled her skills at all because the skill requirements are quite frankly hideous. It requires a huge amount of skill gems, but aside from that, Martha's going to be a very useful addition to the lineup for me, particularly for events such as the upcoming one, because I think she counts as a magical girl, although I don't know how far up the list of magical girl damage bonuses she is. But more importantly, she's a ruler class, meaning that she's very, very rarely at a type disadvantage, which is good, considering it means that I can jam her into the sort of like the mainstay damage funnel slot wherever necessary. Not perfectly ideal because I don't have a waiver, so, but I mean I can always borrow one. Anyway, I haven't really done much other gaming. I did play some of Shining Resonance yesterday, and I still have made very little progress in the story, mainly because I keep getting distracted. The game is a lot, as I've mentioned, a lot less polished than the sorts of other things that are a lot like it, like the Tales series. And one of the ways in which it is less polished, which is it's a two-edged sword in that, you know, yeah, it's less polished, that's true, but it also has its advantages, is that it's very loosey-goosey with making you do things. Like, there is no sense of time whatsoever. There is no sense of urgency whatsoever. If you get summoned by the king to go to the throne room immediately, you can take literally weeks to get there if you really want. So I keep getting distracted by things and like doing mini dungeons with randomly generated creatures and farming for things that I don't actually have a use for just to make the number go up, that kind of thing. So I've made almost no progress in the story, which is sort of weird. And its social links are even sloppier, in the sense that they aren't story bound to anything. So I think that I've already maxed out the romance route with the Princess of the Kingdom, despite being still at the start of the game, because it seems like your ability to advance the social stuff doesn't depend on anything more complex than, oh well, fight with them for a while and then you have another opportunity for an event. But
I see.
Yeah, so if you spend a lot of time pointlessly and meaninglessly just derping around, you're often going to run into that situation where you're advancing in terms of interpersonal relationships disproportionately to the story. So the story might have you and those characters that are still, you know, comparatively unfamiliar with each other, feeling each other out, and in the social aspect of it, you've been on, like, you know, multiple dates and are already basically, you know, joined at the hip for life sort of thing. So it's a bit weird in that sense, and not very cogently constructed relative to the other things that happen. But yeah, it's still filling the role that I intended for it, which is to basically be a time dump. The instrumental purpose really is to keep me away from World of Warcraft. That's the purpose. That's why I got it. So that I have something that I'm doing that is not World of Warcraft at maximum hype period.
Yes. You don't want to be doing nothing at WoW time. This will be a running thing throughout the next few weeks, I'm sure. We don't want people to get us back into World of Warcraft. We're trying to stay away from the World of Warcraft. It's bad for you.
It is. It is very much bad for you. You will be a sad person if you end up sucked into it. And like, if I could just play it casually, that would be fine. I'm perfectly alright with that. I'm the sort of person who actually enjoys going back and ruffle stomping old dungeons just because they can, and collecting bits of gear. Like, I'm one of those casuals. The problem is that when people see me online, they assume that means I want to tank something for them. and, and eventually I end up getting drawn into the mire of raid tanking again. And I don't want that. Because I'll get stuck there for ages. I don't have the time to deal with that sort of social obligation anymore.
Yeah, it's just once you adult, you do not have consistent Saturdays. You can just go, oh yeah, I could totally give you 6 hours of my week for Jerseys every week, plus the time required to prepare for it throughout the week. Yeah, no probs. That isn't a thing that happens once you finish adulting. Deckle?
Yes, I'm here. I'm not sure what else to add, because like the thing is that there's a very substantial part of me that really wants to play World of Warcraft. Like, how do I say, like, after seeing how badly they've mauled the story, I sort of want to spend some time playing it while it hasn't been destroyed all the way, because it's going to be. Like, I'm so disappointed in them. Like, I read a bunch of interviews and material like that over the course of the week, regarding their decisions, re the story, etc. And it's artistically speaking, what we're seeing here is this real apotheosis of the "you think you do but you don't" idea.
Yeah.
Like when they are aware that everybody is unhappy, deeply unhappy with the way the story has gone, except for people who are diehard haters of Sylvanas, and there are a lot of people who are diehard haters of Sylvanas because they went into World of Warcraft believing that that the Horde and the Alliance were both untrammeled groups of good guys with a couple of bad eggs in them, and that we would be all, love and peace within a couple of expansions, and that didn't happen because Sylvanas is always causing trouble, because both of the factions are supposed to have elements that agitate for war and elements that agitate for peace. But they have taken that core idea, and what they have said in these recent interviews is that they are just nominating individual characters to personify those elements utterly, without any kind of subtlety. So they're deliberately making Saurfang into the embodiment of the Horde's honourable ideals, and they are making Sylvanas into the embodiment of all of the evil that is in the Horde. Which is an incredibly shallow way of doing things, like embarrassingly so. I'm really confused as to why they would think that that's a good idea, but I shouldn't be surprised, to be honest. But yeah, it's that I also saw an interview where they basically said that if you don't like what we've done with the story, well, it's our story, so you're wrong. Like, yes, we're wrong in the sense that what we wanted to happen isn't what actually happened, but that doesn't make what you've written any good.
Like, we're also your customers, you jack waffles. Well, we can choose to make this not your story anymore by taking away your funding.
Yeah, that's true, but I think more to the point is that they have sabotaged themselves. Like, they had built up stuff that was good and useful for the future as far as writing is concerned. It's just that they don't seem to genuinely appreciate what they've got. It's... Yeah, I don't know. It seems like they don't know what they're doing. It's like somebody else has set up a bunch of things that could happen, and they didn't understand what those things were for, so they just sort of dumped all over them. It's sort of like I don't know. I might have used this analogy last week or the week before that, since this has been a sore spot for me for the past few weeks. That it's sort of like the Star Wars second of the new Star Wars movies. Like, I didn't think much of the first new Star Wars movie, but the second one was truly appalling and has been recognised as such by virtually everybody. And one of the many, many, many reasons for this is that all of the plot threads that were set up carefully by the first movie, insofar as they set anything up carefully, were all summarily destroyed by the second movie. Like, they just completely didn't understand or didn't care or really hated what was set up by the first one, so all of them were ignored or desecrated in the second one. And that's sort of like I feel is happening with the Horde characters in this new expansion, is that they're just becoming shallow caricatures of their former selves. So you've got like moustache twirling Sylvanas, who only does the less evil thing if it is the much dumber thing, and that's the only circumstance. And it's just they're wasting their potential, actively wasting it.
It's like in Star Wars, it's like they set up Rey's parents to be a big thing. You're like, gotcha, they're nobodies. You get to the Horde, and it's like Vol'jin's like, Sylvanas must be the one to lead the Horde. Gotcha. She's a mustache twirling idiot, and Vol'jin was just having hallucinations on his deathbed.
Yep. But and they've made the Lower of Death like a really big thing in this new one as well. Like, the plot hooks are everywhere. It's bristling with plot hooks, and they just don't touch any of them. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I've watched a bunch of the stuff that came out of that, and so this is going to be spoilery for anybody who hasn't done it yet, but I'm pretty sure any of our listeners who are into World of Warcraft have probably been dragged along in the race to 120. Like Abo. But yeah, the entire Kultura story, like, it made me want to, from what I saw of the way it winds up in the end, it made me want to join the Horde again. Like, I've been happily playing Draenei for a while now because I like Draenei. They're a race which has like a strong and cohesive culture and moral component to it. But I wanted to join the Horde after seeing how the cinematics play out at the end of the Alliance Kultura storyline, because the entire point of the story is to give Mary Sue Jaina another superpower, snap your fingers and absolve her of all her sins. She is now pure as the driven snow and has an army at her command, which she didn't have 5 minutes ago. Like, that's the point. The point is to make the Mary Sue more Mary Sue.
Oh.
It's and it made me want to join the Horde like that. It really did, because, you know, and that's not even fair, because Jaina has, in a sense, she has not suffered enough, and in a sense she has suffered enough. And what I mean by that is that Jaina has been through an awful lot of stuff, but because she's written so badly, she jerks sort of spastically from being, you know, a dove to being a warhawk to being a psychopath to being, you know, the penitent hero. Like, there's no transition period. She just skips from one character to the next. And
yeah.
It's really, it gives an impression like what she's actually doing is just doing whatever she pleases. She's not genuinely going through character development. And so anytime she gets forgiven for her atrocities, whether you agree with them being atrocities or not, it doesn't really make sense for her to be, because she hasn't gone through a period of developing genuine contrition. She just wakes up one morning and decides she's sorry. Or in the case of earlier developments, just wakes up one morning and decides that the Horde are evil. Like, it's not credible, it's not realistic. People don't actually, under normal circumstances, people don't wake up one morning and have their entire worldview completely shift. Like, that's not how it works. When you go through an atrocity, first you're supposed to go into denial. You're not supposed to immediately internalize it all. At any rate, there are lots and lots of reasons why I don't like the storyline in the new thing, and it may the thing is though, making me want to join the Horde is the same thing as making me want to play World of Warcraft, and I deeply resent that. So, yeah. It's sort of like, I know it's bad for me, but I keep looking. I keep looking at the stuff that's happened on
Don't do it. Stay strong. Don't do it.
Yeah, I look at the stuff that I've seen on YouTube that people have posted of cinematics and their breakdowns of the story and what they think about it and so on and so forth, and it's like, oh, this is not good for me. This is not good for me. This is like a recovering alcoholic visiting the liquor store. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. But, yeah. There's still a non-trivial part of me that really wants to like World of Warcraft. And I spent a lot of time there. It feels like I've got unfinished business. It feels like a second home because, you know, you spend some hundreds and hundreds of hours in a place, you're going to grow attached to it whether you like it or not. That's reality. So, yeah,
But there's asbestos in the paint, and it's moldy, and there's water damage everywhere, and the toilet doesn't really work.
Yeah.
It's time to move.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. I know that. But you see, the thing with these sorts of, like, abusive spouse situations is that you don't think about them rationally.
He's just gonna hit you again.
And it is really, isn't it? It's the same sort of thing.
Like, he's just gonna beat you up, honey. Come here. Come with the rest of us battered wives from World of Warcraft. we need to start a council. A help group or something.
Yeah, but you see how it's the same thing, right? Like, you aren't rational about it. You know that it's going to hurt you. And yet you can't just stop going back hoping that it might be better this time.
And it's always somebody else's fault. They always go, hey, want to play WoW? And because they're your friends, you're like, oh, my friends would never intentionally, drag me into an abusive relationship with a terrible person that is just going to make my life terrible for upwards of 12 to 48 hours a week. No, that wouldn't happen at all. Because they just want to have fun playing a video game. No, that is not what World of Warcraft is. World of Warcraft is a terrible, horrible thing for you. I was attached to this terrible, terrible video game for 12 plus years, and was the hardest of hardcore raiders and the casualist of casual on both sides of the spectrum. It doesn't matter where you are. World of Warcraft is bad for you. You are happier, or at least in less pain, when not playing World of Warcraft and attached to its social obligations.
You seem very strident about this.
You have no idea how much better life has been. Despite this crazy stuff I talk about at work, the only thing I can think of, and on any bad day that makes me happy, is it could always be worse. I could be playing WoW on top of it.
Can you imagine that, though? Like, you getting home from work and realizing you have to log in?
Yeah, like, it would be like, that ain't happening.
Oh, man.
Like, just, you gotta stay strong. Stay away from it. Because you know it won't end well. There is potential for the ideal guild, yes. All your friends could finally not act like Jack Waffles. But this never, ever happens. In every group of friends, somebody's going to act like a Jack Waffle. Somebody's going to drag you back into raiding. Somebody's going to have delusions that your guild is the best thing ever of all time. And, it's just not fun. You can get a sense of accomplishment from things other than World of Warcraft with group obligations that take 48 honking hours. You can do things solo in other video games. If you need the MMO fix, there are other MMOs that give you a sense of accomplishment. I think. I haven't played them in a while, and they apparently have all changed. But there used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the MMO genre is rapidly dying. That's just the impression that I have.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody do the thing. Like, it's not there anymore. There's no there. It's
On top. Yeah, we're too old now to be able to put in the hours we used to in MMOs, but there hasn't been an MMO that's coming out or has come out that's been like, I want to play that. I want to invest time in that. Like, because that's what MMOs are. RPGs to a lesser extent, but especially MMOs, is I want to invest time in that. And time is a commodity that has a whole lot more value now after we got jobs. There just ain't one around right now. I had to stand up and stretch my legs and start walking around in a little mini circle talking like that because I was getting flustered.
All I meant to say was that I feel the hunger pangs for it, but I'm going to stay away. But
I know, that's why I went off on the tirade to stop you.
Yeah, that's just...
He's gonna hit you again, honey. Just don't go back to him. We'll find you a new man.
But yeah, it's a powerful analogy. I'll grant you that. Yeah.
Why do I feel like I'm the supportive fat black best friend from the movie in this one?
That's Oasis.
Probably, but it's a stereotype on TV tropes, so I'm calling it there.
Yeah, it's so yeah, I'm not playing World of Warcraft. I'm still investing a certain amount of time in World of Warcraft in the sense that I am looking at it online.
Every time he brings it up, I am diligently telling him it's bad for you.
And I do appreciate that because I am fairly confident that Fern will crumble.
Yeah, I'm going to keep you out of it. I'm going to find a way to fish Abo out of it. I haven't figured out how yet. Like, I'll tell the story during Vault's week instead of mine. So I had one free day this week, right? One day where I was too sick to do anything, but not sick enough to not sit down and play some games. So I was staying home and recovering. It was appropriately just timed cough for once. Sickness, thank you. So I messaged. Fall wasn't online. I knew it was the middle of the night for him anyway. Fern was on. I figured he had to work, but I messaged him anyway. He's like, "No, I got to work today." I'm like, "Okay, I figured that." I messaged Sleep. He's like, "I got to work till 7." Okay. I message Abo, and he goes, "I got to grind to 120 in World of Warcraft. The new X-Pack just came out." I got it from my chair and paced around the pool table in the playroom for about 20 minutes after hearing that. I love you, Abo. I love you to death, buddy, but that made me mad.
But that's what it does to people, and that's why I'm glad to be out of it, out of the jaws of that bear trap.
Yes.
Anyway, I don't think there's much else to talk about in my week, since so much of it was being sick and then working late nights at work. Ugh.
All right, we'll use my tangent and pseudo story to segue into my week, I guess. Okay, so I got back from vacation, and as expected, there was a mountain of paper on my desk. There was a mountain of emails unread in my inbox because I had sporadic internet connections down there. I'm like, well, crap. And I had internet access in my car down in Florida. Surprisingly, there's Wi-Fi in the car because my mother pays for that. I don't know how much it costs, but it must be a bucket and a ton because it could play HD video. Like, I don't know car Wi-Fi, but it's a thing.
Wow.
I have no idea how much that costs. But, yeah, so I got some work done there. But I'm in a cramped car with a seat that won't even recline. with an iPad, not even a mouse and keyboard. So I didn't get much work done there. So I get home and I walk in the office, and sure enough, there are 2 stacks of papers as tall as my inbox beside my inbox. And I'm like, okay, we got to start chewing through this. My inbox is not very big, to be fair, but still, a stack of papers is a stack of papers. So I've been incredibly busy. And then, one at a time, everybody in real life just starts getting sick, and things start slowing down. And then I get sick. And I was already a little sick. And then I get sicker. And I'm like, okay, I got to take a day off. So I take a day off. And the one day I took off was to play around with the new characters in Cross Tag Battle. And eventually I did get Sleepbringer online to play. And I did eventually get Abo to play it with me. It was the next evening for like an hour before bed. But I did get him to play with me after he hit 120. But yeah, the new characters in Cross Tag are interesting and fun. But I've talked to death about Cross Tag, and I don't want to spend too much time on it. Just repeating old stuff. Despite not having much to talk about this week. But yeah, they're fun. And of course I have to play the male character that got turned into a girl as one of the new mains on my team. But Mai's really fun, and something that used to be a boy should never do splits with a spear like that. Ever.
I see.
Yeah, like, but they're a lot of fun. Who else did I play? Yuzu from Under Night and Birth is a lot of fun. She's another spacing character that thankfully doesn't have her wonky mechanic in Under Night and Birth, where her moves came out when you let go of the button instead of when you pressed it. She was a Butojutsu character, I think, where she used the sheath and drew from the sheath.
Yaijutsu.
Yeah, Yaijutsu. So she in the other game, pressing the button would do sheath attacks, but to do any of her moves that actually mattered, you had to let go of the button at the right time, and it was really wonky. She was interesting and had a cool moveset, and she looked like she'd be fun to play, but in practice, you could never get the timing right on anything she had in Under Night and Birth.
Sounds like you're just a casual.
I was in Under Night and Birth, to be fair. I was very casual in that game. But, yeah. But yeah, I've been playing those 2 a bit. I've been playing Mai and Yuzu, and they were both fun. Labrys came out. Abo was happy about that. He used to main Labrys. So she still has the stupid super, where, for those that don't know, Labrys was a character, a robot girl with a big giant axe in Persona 4 Arena. And they brought her over to this game, and she used to have a super that was completely invincible for the full 7 seconds it charged up. And when it went off, it would just one-shot you. If she built up full axe meter when she did it. And they have kept that, but they have reduced the cheese factor. It is still fully invincible, but now only charges for 3 seconds, and now only chunks like a third of your health. So it's actually, not cheesy. But it's useful now. So yeah, I'm still having fun with Cross Tag. Sleep was getting very frustrated with me because he's been putting many, many hours of practice into this game, ground all the way up to like platinum rank or something like that, or diamond rank, and I'm sitting here at gold, and he's getting frustrated because he's like, "You're too nutty." I was playing like Makoto and Mai, team best friends, and he's just getting owned by my squirrel spamming horizontal god fists. Because I just mash out supers while he's doing a combo on me. And this is apparently not a thing you do at high-level play. This is considered disrespectful. But he was laughing and having fun, so it was a fun time.
What? I don't comprehend. Like, I didn't think that there was anything that counted as disrespectful if you're actually playing a fighting game legit.
The people that take it more seriously than, like, me, Sleep, or Abo do, like, there are apparently disrespectful things that you just don't see online once you get to a certain level of play. So, Sleep was surprised to see me doing it again.
It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Like, if it's so disrespectful, just counter it.
Well, yeah, it's expected that it's not the best answer in that situation. It's almost always going to get you punished once they realize what you're doing.
Yes, but if it doesn't, then it was the best thing to do, and it makes you better.
But yeah, that's the thing. At lower levels of play, I don't know the other options. So my option whenever I'm getting beat on in a corner is to mash out the fastest super I got to kick you in the face, if you're just going to keep your block string going forever. Most people will just say, you should probably just learn to block the block string right, but I'm not that good. I'm sorry. The only thing I can do is mash the super button or the EX button or the TP button or something equally dangerous that's probably going to get me punished, but usually works about half the time. I don't have the perfect blocks in the corner, but it's fine. Sleep was laughing when he said it. He was having fun with it. It's just you're not used to seeing that from players at a certain point. And I've actually caught a lot of people out with this in Dragon Ball Fighters, where I just don't have the blocking game that a lot of these super duper good players have. So when I start climbing up the ladders and I start bumping into more and more of them, they expect me to block and, counter with the normals that have the best options for getting out of the corner. No. What I'm actually going to do is just mash the super button. Or mash the Dragon Punch button. Or whatever the appropriate button to get you off me is. I'm not going to block your thing and put out the appropriate counter block string.
No, what you are supposed to do is play Goku Black.
No, you run Goku Blue to counter Goku Black. Because he specifically has one move that counters Goku Black's main cheese factor. I beat a guy, actually. I booted up Dragon Ball Fighters for like 5 minutes today. Just to poke around at Bardock and Broly. And merge Zamasu. And it was so funny. I beat a guy with Goku Blue just by spamming the anti-Goku Black button. Which is just a teleport across the screen and a punch. There's nothing special about it. I just did that move over and over and over again every time he pulled out Goku Black and killed it. It was hilarious. I saved the replay.
I see.
So that was punching games. The rest of my week, I also need to keep my mind occupied during World of Warcraft season. So I had kept one of the DS Castlevania games on standby. And I had never finished Portrait of Ruin before. I never 100%ed it. I played it, but I never finished it. I think I got the bad ending when I did play it, when it first came out in like 2006. Good lord, these games are old that I'm playing.
It's because you
but yeah. Yeah, no. So I had Portrait of Ruin laying around, which is the second of the 3 Castlevania games on the DS. And this game has some quirks in it for a Metroidvania game. First off, the castle is divided with sub-levels again, but they flow much more naturally. There are portals in the castle that lead to other environments, but they're all in the castle. You're not going to a level select screen, so it feels much more natural. And it's like you're going to an old subsection of the castle. They just have a theme with them, and it can be something like the Egyptian pyramids or something, because you go inside paintings to go into these alternate areas now, instead of it being like the clock tower or the sewers. And I do miss the the big giant castle designs that were just one big honking castle with a lot of different environments within the castle. But I'll take I can take the portrait levels. They're certainly better than Ecclesia's level select, which was a joke. But yeah, it's fun, but it's got some quirks. Its main gimmick is you control 2 characters at once. And you control Jonathan and Charlotte. And Jonathan is your standard not Belmont. He's the last of the not Belmonts before the Belmont family gets the whip back in canon. And he starts off with a vampire killer, but he's terrible with it because his dad never trained him. His dad died before he could teach him. So you wind up equipping him with all the weapons you would from the later games, like claymores and spears and whatever else you find laying around the castle that, Dracula just leaves for you to use. Because reasons.
He's a nice guy like that.
Yeah. So you equip all that stuff, but Jonathan also doesn't have the ability to use any sub-weapons until he finds them. And once he finds them, he learns them forever, and he can equip them whenever he wants, but he has no skill with them. At all. And what this amounts to is you equipping the ring that gets you more weapon experience, sitting there in the room with 2 Minotaurs, killing them over and over again for about 8 hours to master all your sub-weapons so they can actually be useful. This has the nasty side effect of actually really over-leveling you, so the game won't be a challenge again until New Game Plus.
I see.
So that made me a little mad. But is required for 100% completion. There are side quests in this game that ask you to do a whole lot of random arbitrary things, like go to this random cake and press up on the D-pad at it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like, you don't eat the cake, you just need to go to it and look at it. In this random level, there's a cake in the background, you have to go press up on the D-pad to go talk to the cake. Cake doesn't talk back, but you complete the quest.
What?
Yeah, side quests in a Castlevania game. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Doesn't make any sense, in fact.
Because you talk to the cake.
Yeah. So that's a little weird. The other character is Charlotte, and she's your typical Belnades spellcaster from the series, where they have terrible physical defense, but absurd magic resist and a ton of magic damage. So whenever something isn't taking damage from Jonathan, you switch to Charlotte and beat on it with magic. If something hits way too hard with physical attacks, you switch to Jonathan. If it hits way too hard with magic attacks, you switch to Charlotte. And you can actually control both characters at once, and the secondary character will just kind of follow your main character and pretend it has AI and attempt to attack stuff, and never actually succeed. But you can do it, and if they get hit, you lose MP, which is bad, because that's what you need to use your sub-weapons and cast spells. So, I don't really know what the point of that is. But the more interesting part of the game, the part that's actually done well, is using the two characters to solve puzzles. So, you'll get like a switch, your standard puzzles you would expect like this, where you have to place both characters on separate switches in an area to open a door, and you have to figure out how to navigate them with their unique special abilities to get them into at the right switches at the right time to open the right door permanently. But then there's weird things like Dracula has 2 race cars inside of his castle, and you have to park a character on each race car and have them auto scroll down a hallway, and you have to switch between the 2 characters and actively dodge obstacles coming at both characters on different tracks. Because Dracula likes race cars now, apparently.
Dracula's a weird guy, apparently.
Yeah. So, combat's your standard fare stuff. But the big thing is there's a big OP button you can push called the Dual Crash if you ever get in trouble, and this completely removes all challenge from the game. Just whenever you want, if you're in trouble, you press up and X, both characters come on screen and fill the screen with projectiles of various flavors. And everything dies, and you're completely invulnerable during most types of it. And you can create a billion different flavors of it.
I see.
So
that's a lie. I
it
don't
is
really see.
No, it's not a very challenging game. But it's enough to keep me occupied because there's a lot of stuff to do in it. There's a lot of puzzles to solve in it, and there's a lot of stuff to collect, as you know is standard with the genre. So I've been using it to keep my mind occupied. And as far as Castlevanias go, it is okay. It's not bad. It's not good, but it's not great. It's good. It's not bad though. It's worth the play if you can find it at a cheap price, which you're not going to because it's a DS game. So good luck with that. But I would say it's worth about $20 if you can find it. But I wouldn't pay more than that. So yeah, the only other quirk in this game I will demonstrate, and hopefully this won't be too loud. You have to switch these guys every 4 seconds, and they say each other's name every time they do it, and it drives you up the wall.
I see.
Yeah.
This is like that Mega Man boss that we talked about last week.
Kind of, except it's not quite as annoying because it rarely overlaps, but it's like Jonathan, Charlotte, and it drives me up the wall after a while. But yeah, it's good. It also has the best joke in the Castlevania series. for what that's worth, I guess, in an attempt to stretch the weeks. There is a scene that happens if you hold up long enough, your character goes into a ready pose to throw the sub weapon or ready their spell. But if you hold up too long, they strike a pose. And like Jonathan does a Michael Jackson pose, and Charlotte thrusts her chest out and has 16-year-old guy naxing and says, "Well, not bad, huh?" And you go in front of the priest dude and you do this with Jonathan while Charlotte's tagged out, so only Jonathan's on screen. And he starts freaking out because Charlotte's not there. And in English, in full voice acting, she goes, "No, I'm the magic missile in his pocket." I'm like, yep, that joke was worth it. And then you remember she's 16 and feel bad about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they were just a bit older, that would be the greatest joke in Castlevania. But they're not. They're 16.
Yeah.
Like, just could you have done that joke 2 years later, Charlotte? Then it'd have been funny.
I need an adult. And not just because I'm playing Terra.
Yep. That's about all I can do to stretch my week. It's been a busy week. All I've had time for is a portable game and dodging WoW. So yeah. We would go to a break, but I don't know if your software is set up to do those.
I could try, but I'm not sure if it'll come back.
Let's just we can just keep going then.
I
There's no
certainly
break
can't
this
do
week.
music. Like I don't even know how Fern does that. He hasn't taught me how to do that stuff yet.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just keep going then. Just for the sake of safety.
Yeah.
I just checked the stream again to be sure, and apparently it's still working.
All right. I mean, do both of us come through on the audio?
I heard you. I'll have to reopen it. Hang on, let me reopen close tab.
So otherwise we'll have to start the show over.
Yeah, we're very good at this, by the way, guys.
Super professional. But I forgot until just the other day that Fern wasn't going to be here. So, yeah,
I hear both of us.
I was not really prepared for this whole debacle.
Yeah, Fern reminded me while I was busy drowning in work and being sick. It was not at the forefront of my brain that he was not going to be here.
Yeah, like I don't think the plan was that both of us would be completely indisposed while he was away. But yeah, he'll be back next week. I think he was just going down to town to attend a wedding. But when you're in Australia, going down to town takes 8 hours each way.
Yeah, when you're at Fern's location in Australia. So yeah, we're stretching our weeks pretty thin on a week when we were both sick right before Gamescom. But we're still here. But never miss no gig.
We would never miss no gig.
Don't never miss no gig. It's a triple negative. No, it's a quadruple negative. There's 5 negatives in that sentence. Dang. That's some good writing. I'm remembering the Robot Chicken skit we stole that from.
Yes.
All right. So, unless you really want to talk about how bang, 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 pull my devil trigger's been stuck in your head all week, I think we should move on. We should move on to the articles.
It literally has been, though. I mean, like, since the end of the last show, like last week's show, the entire time, the entire week, it's just been bang, 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 pull my devil trigger in my brain.
Yeah, I've helped it along about 3 or 4 times this week.
It is not greatly appreciated.
What the heck just fell down? Oh, that fell down. It was on the table across from me. That one was not my fault. That was people closing doors upstairs too hard. Again. Okay, so I guess we'll grab some articles. Actually, I'll check the email, and you can grab an article if you got the tab near you.
Well, I'm fighting a boss right now, actually.
Okay, I will pull the email up. We have an email.
I didn't expect that there would be a boss, that's the thing. It's like, oh, I'm in the tutorial area, it'll be fine. But no, they've got big boss fights in the tutorial area now, apparently.
Okay, should we save Serathis' email for when Fern's here and we actually have a proper show? Because
Well,
I feel kind of bad putting it on this show.
Well, even if you say that, we don't know what the content is. Fern might not be able to contribute. Then again, maybe he can.
It's a Monster Hunter thing.
Oh, well, better save it for Fern then, because you'll want to talk about that. He is, after all, the Monster Hunter guy here.
Yeah. So, Serathis, we see your email if you're listening to the show. We're going to save it for next week when Fern's back. So, let's see here. I gotta pick something. Okay, so we'll start with something that I know. So the Spyro trilogy has been pushed back to November. I don't know if they gave a reason for this, but sounds fine to me.
Well, I mean, it's like we talked about last time. They were planning to release that game with one of the games. Just like one of the trilogy would actually be on the disc, and the rest would be downloaded.
Yeah.
And like I said at that time, this suggests to me that it is not actually finished. They have no confidence that they can complete the product by the time they have to stamp out the discs. So this basically pretty much just confirms that they're not done.
Yeah. If you're these levels in Spyro are huge, for one. They are Super Mario 64 in size times 1.5, and they came out around in the ballpark at the same time. A little bit later, but you get the idea. These levels are not small and take a lot of work to prettify. So, not to mention the raw amount of mini games that were surprisingly high quality for their diversity. On the PlayStation 1 titles, that you have to program in a new engine. Like, there is no joke, probably 50 to 100 mini games in every single game that all played well on the PlayStation 1. So this is not a small feat that you're undertaking to make Spyro. I totally get why this game could be behind. So I'm glad they're taking the time to keep it going. I will take a pushback if it gets me closer to the product I'm hoping this will be.
Seems fair enough. I mean, I'm not a Spyro person, as I've mentioned before. I don't really understand it at all. But I was not impressed with the earlier announcement that they're just basically going to release it in an incomplete state, or at least what I presumed was an incomplete state. But it looks like they're taking it seriously now instead of trying to find a workaround. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's still speculation. Maybe they suck. They could just suck. That's entirely possible.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, we can hope they're listening to customers. That would be a new thing in the industry we haven't seen in years. That would be a good retro throwback, listening to your customer. Let's do that kind of retro throwback.
Does it have pixel graphics? Because if not, then it'll never happen.
No, unfortunately not. But that'd be the best kind of retro throwback. We actually listen to our customers. Yeah, y'all said you didn't like this, so we pushed it back to finish it. That's another kind of cool retro throwback. Pushing back a game if it's not done so that you can finish the dang game. Instead of releasing, Mass Effect Andromeda. Or whatever or Mega Man X6 or whatever. Finish your games.
Yeah. Apparently that's passé now. I mean, the reality is that we sent the wrong message by endorsing, and I don't mean us personally, I mean gamers as an aggregate, sent the wrong message by endorsing early access. Because that's basically saying, we will hand over full price even if you don't finish the game.
Yeah, that we are some of the more outspoken that I know of against early access. None of us agree with early access on this show. We never have. We warned you guys. We tried to tell you. You didn't listen.
Yeah, like I can see that they're trying to force the issue to a greater or lesser extent by means of basically soft launching via early access and then never actually launching the game. So, in the sense that like they don't treat 1.0 as a launch. So that ideally, from their point of view, they're just going to have you either jump on board at early access or you don't participate at all. That's their operating plan here, and it's kind of hostile to the consumer.
And you have no idea what the game's going to do at the start of early access. You have no idea if 1.0 is going to be, a huge content update when the game's going to be actually for realsies finished, or if 1.0 is just going to be, a marketing buzz to get, sales up for a week when things are looking down.
Oftentimes, I suspect that most people will be done with the game by the time early access ends. Like, and what is that? What is the effect of that going to be ultimately? I mean, if the model is, what we want is we want to get all our money when we get the minimum deliverable product running, and then by the time it comes to actually release the game, we don't have enough customers to actually care about it anymore. So I guess we don't really need to get the game to a polished, finished release state. And then, okay, so what's the slippery slope back from that? Oh, well, if we're never actually going to get it to the polished release state because we won't have any customers by the time we get through our 3 years of early access, then what's the point of heading towards a polished final product anyway? We might as well just maintain it at the minimum level of operability until people lose interest. Like, that's where you're going to end up by endorsing early access.
Yeah, it is the most cost-effective thing you can do, is to minimize costs in production and just keep things going as long as you can with the early access shiz. It saves you money and makes you more money. Ride the hype train out and then move on to the next project.
Yep. Anyway, the idea wasn't to turn this into an early access rant.
But we are incredibly cynical people, and we don't have the Fern to stop us.
Fern, come back, we need you.
We do need the Fern. The Librarian and Marshmallow Show is not a very good show, folks. Sorry about that, but it's what you got. So you're going to like it. Let's see. We have... I
want to talk about the Doom one because it's funny.
Okay, we can do the Doom one.
Okay. So, as people had until recently forgotten, Doom Eternal was announced at E3, I believe.
We both forgot about this game until this controversy, in air quotes, came up.
Yeah, so it turns out that they've included some throwaway comic lines in Doom Eternal, wherein a robot character basically uses pro-mass immigration rhetoric to justify the arrival of demons on Earth. So,
and it's not even that bad. It's not even that explicit. It's just like, remember, demons are people too, or something like that.
Yeah, that sort of thing. That we want to make sure that they have an easy transition over to our world. Remember, don't call them demons, call them mortally challenged, and that sort of thing. Like the whole thing's a pastiche of politically correct culture, right? Like, that's the point. And
a very tame one.
Yeah,
it's
sort of like, it barely qualifies as a gentle ribbing, they sort of the social justice contingent sort of spat the dummy and threw a tantrum over it, and I think that is spectacular in every way, because what it really means ultimately is that the developer, in this case id Software, has 100% realized that the most efficient marketing engine that you can utilize in the modern era is to make social justice warriors mad.
These guys are great at showing me good games. Like, if they hadn't gotten mad about Dragon's Crown back when it was coming out, I would have never known it was coming out and never would have picked up the game.
Yep.
If they hadn't been around for this, would have completely forgotten about Doom Eternal.
Yep. But so there's been a lot of reactions to this have basically shown that the gaming community as a whole has pretty much rallied against social justice warriorism in general, and in the sense that I forgot that that statue was naked. Does that mean that our stream is now not safe for work? Anyway,
Just keep going.
the where was I? Oh, all right. It seems that people are reacting in a way that suggests that the bulk of the games community has rejected social justice warriorism, since basically these people are getting made fun of left, right, and centre, and I mean that politically as well as figuratively. Everybody's making fun of it because it's stupid. It's a stupid thing to get mad about. But it's also kind of amusing that people are starting to point out that the first order of business for the social justice warriors was to identify immigrants with demons. It's like, who exactly are you accusing of being anti-immigration here? You're the ones who leapt to the conclusion that the demons being talked about must be referring to immigrants, that the blasted hellscape of demon-infested Earth is a commentary on immigration. Like, this is something that they came up with. But yeah, it's quite entertaining. It's the way of the future as far as I'm concerned, in marketing terms. Like, it's just so effective at getting the word out about your new product.
If we were on marketing teams before this got discovered, we would be geniuses. We'd be rich.
Yeah. Provided that they never succumb to the temptation to apologize, everything will be fine.
Double down. It's the best marketing strategy.
Yeah. But after
These
all,
people
like,
are not going to buy your game.
that's their strategy. Their strategy is always to double down. Their strategy is always to take their point to the absurd, as if they weren't absurd already. Like, the only way you can counter that is by using the same tactics, so that you're operating on the same level of rhetoric that they are. Otherwise, you'll get crushed under it. So, yeah, Donald Trump won the election in the United States by doubling down every time he got told to back off. It's a very effective strategy when what you're doing is selling something. So, yeah. It's going to be the way the marketing goes here as well, provided it stick to their guns, because it's actually kind of funny. It's a funny joke that all humor comes from juxtaposing two unlike things in the same place. So, like, you know, a normal person slipping on a banana peel is not as funny as a person in a full tux slipping on a banana peel, because the person wearing the tux is supposed to be more dignified. In this case, we've got sort of like the ultimate genteel, like, sentiment which you find in a civilization which is basically imploding on itself, is being juxtaposed with the devastated, hell-blasted landscape of Earth. Like, it's a funny joke executed correctly, and basically passes commentary on something that every sane person already agrees with. It's only the lunatic fringe that are upset. So treat them like the lunatic fringe. That is to say that they don't matter. They don't buy games.
Yeah, they don't buy your product. They ain't gonna give you money. Why are you apologizing to them? People that are making fun of them are gonna buy your game. You know they're gonna buy your game. Them's the market you need to aim for.
And we've seen it. People love Dragon's Crown. People bought Dragon's Crown when Dragon's Crown came out, even though I had no marketing to back it up. And then people bought Dragon's Crown again, repeatedly, as it got re-released. Like,
yep.
It works. It works. People know about that game because people were mad about that game, and that's going to continue being the way.
Successful enough to emboss the Sorcerer's Express and Tiki's butt on the box in a way that it is almost impossible not to grab them when you open the box.
You think that that's deliberate? Do you genuinely think it's deliberate?
I think so, because I attempt to avoid it and accidentally slip my thumb into Tiki's butt crack every time I open that box. I go over to that box with the mindset, I'm going to take the game sleeve off, I'm going to open the metal box, and I'm not going to grab Tiki's butt. And I always do.
I see. I'll take your word for it. But yeah, so it's been an amusing debacle watching people try and stir this into a controversy and basically getting laughed out of the building, figuratively speaking. And this is, as the adage goes, the the way to basically diffuse evil is to make fun of it, to make people laugh at it. It was Mel Brooks's philosophy regarding Nazism was that the best thing to do is to make them so ridiculous that nobody would ever think of going with their ideas ever again because they're just laughable. And that's the best way to defuse the progressive SJW insanity, is to just have it become the subject of public ridicule, as it deserves. And this is another brick in that wall. So good on id Software. Don't back down. You could probably go a little bit harder if you wanted. So yeah,
it would probably get you some sales if you did. I highly encourage it. Less so for the social justice aspect, and more just because it would be a fun marketing scheme to see how well it plays out.
Yep.
I mostly just want to see what this does to their sales numbers if they do double down.
Yeah, I think that the more at this point, Refuge and Audacity is the way to go. Like, I think my game has crashed.
No.
The sales, I think, are most likely going to be better, dependent on. The game has crashed. So what am I actually streaming now? Nothing. Okay.
Is OBS still broadcasting? I'll check.
Yeah, you're gonna need to check. I don't know what's happened here. I think I crashed last time I did this quest as well. Where was I? Oh yeah, I think at this point, the more doubling down that they do, the more it will pay off for them. I think that they really are operating in that strange space now. It's going to redound to their benefit if they just are even more audacious, even if they push it even harder. There's basically no losing for them now, because people want to see that. They want the sideshow. The sideshow just happens to also be marketing. I mean, don't neglect making your game good, guys. Like, we would really appreciate that. But yeah, I think that this is going to be better for them the more that they push it, the more that they show that scolds who hate your hobby aren't going to dictate what you get to play, because that's what people are really behind them over. They don't like being told off for the things that they enjoy all the time, which is basically all that progressives ever do, is they tell you off for what you are or who you are or what you do. So yeah, the standing up to the scolds is a very good way of pushing yourself as, friend to the people who play the games. It's like when that SJW working for ArenaNet basically went off at the player base over that guy on Twitter. And the game developer decided to back the gamers and not the scolds, and everybody supported them over it. This is the way things need to go. If things keep going this way, and people are, they're allowed to play the games that they want to play, they're allowed to have the views that they want to have, and that their speech is not going to get shut down because somebody's upset, then, we're going to be heading in the right direction again for the first time in goodness only knows how long.
Yeah, we will have one, despite what Kotaku will tell you. We are streaming, it's just a black screen.
Great. Well, I'm trying to fix that.
There, it's back now.
Okay.
It's back now. It just popped up.
Anyway, in a related topic, and this is sort of like tangentially related, and I'm forcing the segue brutally. Where did I put that article? I've lost it. Here we go. Richard Bear spoke at QuakeCon regarding the Dishonored property, and the Dishonored franchise is going to be basically put to sleep. They're not going to make any more for the foreseeable future. Now, the reason why I'm using this as a segue is because the sales for Dishonored 2 were much worse than the sales for Dishonored 1. And the sales for Death of the Outsider were worse than the sales for Dishonored 2. I don't have the numbers to back this up, but this is what I recall the case being. And a parallel trait to this, the first Dishonored game was a very, very bad spiritual successor to Thief. Now, I'm not going to say that it was a bad game. I'm going to say, as a spiritual successor to Thief, it was not doing that job, which is what a lot of people had hoped it would be. So I'm not really surprised that all the people that wanted Thief didn't come back for the second one. Okay. Now the second one, if you look, you can find interviews and information saying that a lot of the stuff narratively about certain characters was inspired by Anita Sarkeesian. Okay, so we're off to a really poor start with Dishonored 2 in that respect. So Dishonored 2 now has two strikes against it. Anita Sarkeesian was an inspiration for how some of the characters are written, and it's also not Thief, because people wanted Thief. Okay, so you've hacked down your sales numbers again. Point 3, because the final villain was a woman, so you have basically your punishment that you levy at her, unless you murder her outright like any other NPC. The punishment you levy at her is to grant her a utopia to live in for eternity that works exactly as she desires. That's her punishment. While everybody else has to stay and rebuild society, she gets to live in utopia. So as I mentioned at the time when I had just finished it, it's an awful, awful ending. Is that you give a heavenly utopia to the person who is the great villain. Okay, so Dishonored 2 is basically a mess because of that. The next one elevated a minor character. Death of the Outsider elevates to main character a minor character who happens to be a disabled black lesbian who has no reason really to have any special powers except now she does. You don't get to play as any of the... You don't get to play as Corvo or even Corvo's daughter. Spoilers, as if it was hidden in any way. You play as the, disabled black lesbian. Because reasons. Like they wrote the game in order to permit you to play the disabled black lesbian. So a lot of people viewed that as, oh, well, this is a direct vector towards social justice warriorism. In order to... They wrote the story to accommodate artificial inclusivity because they could. Like, I mean, you could make other arguments for it, because that character does have a backstory with the which interweaves with some of the other stuff that happens in Dishonored 2, but that she is, a disabled black lesbian doesn't really have any bearing on her character. It just seems like they inserted those things in there to make her more, quote, diverse, unquote.
Yeah. And, well, this is what you get. You lay in the bed you make. They tried to push this so much that people are sick of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody really took any genuine offense to the character, but ultimately it was like, oh, so what you're saying is we don't get to see the story of Emily and Corvo anymore. Yeah. Instead, we have to pay attention to this person that we don't care about because she was actually kind of a bitch.
Yeah, and it's yet another, not white lesbian, not white, not straight character forced into a protagonist role. When we're like, oh, another one. I mean, you can have these kind of characters, sure, but what you've done over the past several years is saturate the market with them, and that's the big issue. And you've attached a negative stigma and connotation to them with social justice. Period. Like this, you have made your own bed with this. The reason that people do not want these characters right now is because you tried to cram them down our throats. We would have accepted them and taken them if they had come naturally, but you did not do that. In the gaming industry, you people decided it was a wonderful idea to cram them down our throats, and we're sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
At this point, the classical hero, like Superman or Dante or somebody that is a genuinely heroic character, is the minority. I'm losing my voice.
Yeah,
it's coming back.
I don't think that there's like, I don't think that they're responding to the market trends. I think that they are responding to some sort of political orders that they feel that they have received from some metaculture that doesn't exist. Like,
I'm sure they are. It's just this. We were pointing out, or you pointed out earlier, how the sales have gone down. And I'm mostly saying this makes sense. You're shoving down more of what we've already been stuffed with for the past goodness knows how long.
Yeah, like, and that was my overall impression of the latest E3 is that this is basically E3 Diversity Edition. Like, how much laying aside the segment of fake gameplay for Last of Us 2, that entire trailer, aside from the gameplay portion, was all about the main character as a lesbian. Like, that's the only message it conveyed.
Do you remember what happened? Did you ever watch the TV series Heroes? Because they tried the same shiz.
I didn't watch it.
In season 2, they had the writer's strike happen, and in season 3, they tried to recover from the writer's strike by making one of the main characters, Claire, a lesbian out of nowhere, despite having boyfriend after boyfriend in the past few seasons, and being ostensibly set up as straight. And they marketed it super hard. The only thing you saw about episode 11 for like 5 episodes leading up to it on the commercials was her kissing another girl. And it blew up in their face. And that's what it reminds me of every time I see this. And I'm just like, it's going to blow up in their face. It's going to go just like Heroes did.
Yeah. I don't really understand why they think that they need to take orders from these people. Maybe they just all believe it themselves. That could be the case. That they are in deep in that ideology and it doesn't really occur to them that maybe they should think a bit harder first.
Well, I'm sure that's the case for probably the vast majority of them. When we foes speak to the game industry, we are theoretically speaking to the individual that's sitting there at his desk, banging his head on his keyboard, going, I need a way out of this. I gotta fix this somehow. I know there's a problem. But that person probably doesn't exist. At least not in any capacity that's meaningful and can make a difference in these companies. At least the ones that are already too far gone to save.
Yeah, it's the era we live in is one where identity is too important. Like it's the what's his name, Martin Luther King nightmare. Basically, everybody now is judged by their superficial traits and not anything that they actually think. So, because of that, we need to overly focus on superficial traits wherever possible. That needs to be your overriding obsession, is to make sure that you're ticking all of the boxes.
Yeah, we focus so heavily now on intrinsic identity instead of overt identity, what you choose to do. The people are not made by their actions; they're made by what they are.
Well, there's no helping that. But I mean, as far as Dishonored goes, taking this away from the identity politics angle, which I think is a real angle, since there is at least a correlation. It might not be causation. There is at least a correlation between their sales dropping and the more identity politics they crammed into that game. However, moving away from that angle, I'm actually kind of glad to see them put the franchise to rest, because if they made another one, it would end up being Assassin's Creed, in the sense that it would just be a carbon copy of the previous one with some different art assets. That's where that road leads, and I think that they are right to recognise that that's where that road leads and put it to sleep. Sure, they've had their commercial issues, for whatever reasons those might be. Like, as we have wildly speculated, it might be to do with their injection of politics and forced diversity initiatives in their content. It might not be to do with that. Either way, they've had their commercial problems, and they have recognised that, maybe just duplicating this game again is not the path to success. Which I think is something that a lot of people could stand to notice at this point.
Yeah. It, like, in the short term, pumping out your new Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed or whatever is good for you. It gets your stockholders happy in an emergency. But it is not healthy for your franchise or your company as a whole, and diminishes overall future profits. We know this from the numbers that we've seen. Unless your name's Activision and you luck out with a big franchise, you have to follow that rule.
Well, I mean, I don't know how well the new Call of Duties do. I hear less buzz from them each time a new one comes out. I don't know if that's because I'm not paying as much attention because I'm sick of hearing about it, or if it's because there actually is less buzz now. But it's certainly...
No, I've heard they are smaller in sales, but still substantial.
Oh, like, yeah, it's certainly substantial, but of course they're substantial because they are like... It's like, Halo was a crappy FPS. Like, I know you disagree with that, but I'm going to say it anyway. Halo was a crappy FPS, but it was also the only one that there was if you had that console. There was no other option for you. You couldn't play something else. You had to play Halo. And in the case of Call of Duty, they're working an analogous angle. Like, if you want that Call of Duty game, you have to buy Call of Duty. Nobody else actually does Call of Duty. And people are very invested in that style of play.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's good on them for realizing when to put a franchise on ice. And usually, you either put it on ice between every installment and you focus on each installment being, a big thing, or you do a trilogy or something, or a duology, and then you put it on ice, and then you do another one, and then you do another one. That's a pretty good model for keeping your franchise fairly healthy.
Yeah, seeing it go to sleep for a while, like, in the simplest of terms, people will be more hyped when it comes back than they would be otherwise.
Yeah. That people will be like, oh, the new Dishonored game got announced, instead of, oh, next Assassin's Creed's out.
Hooray. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think anybody really cares about Assassin's Creed anymore. Like I haven't got that impression anyway. Like, I remember a time where people I knew were excited. Oh, Assassin's Creed 2's coming out. Everybody says it's really great. But I don't remember a time where people were like, yay, Assassin's Creed is now in France. Yay, Assassin's Creed is now in Egypt. Yay, Assassin's Creed is now in Greece.
Yeah, the last fanfare we heard was, Assassin's Creed has pretty good pirate ship mechanics. That's the last good positive hype we ever heard about that game.
Yeah, but the thing that you've got to notice from that is the thing that people will hype about was the part that is not like Assassin's Creed.
I have never defended any of the Assassin's Creed parts of Assassin's Creed 4. I have only said the pirate ship mechanics are really fun. Ugh, I'm dying. I'm still dying. I'm having to cut the mic off a lot, folks. Sorry about that. I'm still sick and coughing.
Yeah, believe me, you don't want him to not cut the mic. I've heard what it sounds like when he doesn't cut the mic. You don't want that. You don't want that in your life.
Yeah, you don't want the sniffles, and you especially don't want the wheezy hacking.
Yeah, so, pick a topic.
Alright, so, let's do these two, because these two are short and funny. Okay. So, going from stuff we kind of have a clue about to stuff we have no clue about. What is Omen of Sorrow?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, Vol asked me about it, and I'm like, I think I've heard the name, but he's like, it's a fighting game. I'm like, I don't, not in my circles. Nobody's talking about it there. It's apparently a horror punching game that's starting to get some marketing, and Niche Gamer was covering it, and we're like, what? What is this thing? Was this a thing? Was it a Kickstarter? I can't find anything on it. It just came out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's a very odd looking game.
But odd is a word for it. Ugly is another one.
Yeah, well, when I say odd, I don't mean that it's not ugly. What I mean is it gives a strange impression, like it's a fish out of water in terms of its temporal position.
Yeah, like this seems like a early PS2 game.
Yeah, it feels, well, I don't know, I think early PS2 is a bit harsh. Maybe early PS3. Maybe. I think a lot of people
PS3.
have a glorified impression of what PS3 games looked like nowadays. But
well, when I think late PS2, I think Final Fantasy 12, and this is lower than Final Fantasy 12.
I don't think that that's true. Final Fantasy 12 is really grainy. But yeah, it's not a pretty game at all, and it's trying to break into a market that is very easily saturated. I was just mainly astonished that it existed. We'll say that. Yeah. I was astonished that it existed because it was a very surprising thing to see.
Yeah, like it's getting coverage on. It is week before Gamescom, I guess. You got to take what you can get. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's like the three Egyptian gods, and there's like totally not Richter Belmont, and there's like some angel dude, and there's like Sonya Blade, and there's like a werewolf who plays exactly like Saberwolf from Darkstalkers from the looks of it.
Yeah,
Like,
I saw that and I was like, that looks mighty derivative. I don't know what it's derivative of, but it is very familiar looking.
or not Saberwolf from that's Killer
It
Instinct.
looks like
Talbane.
it looks like a number of things that I've seen.
Yeah, a lot of these characters are very heavily inspired by, we shall say, some of the other games out there, namely Darkstalkers and it looks like Mortal Kombat. Like,
Yeah,
I swear the armored lady character looks like Sonya
but I mean,
and plays like Sonya.
it's like I looked at it and my reaction was, this looks even more heinous than Killer Instinct, and nobody plays that.
Apparently, people are still hanging on. It's got people that are hanging on.
I don't believe you.
I that was the last report I heard was about 2 months ago. They still had enough people to release updates for it.
Huh.
Haven't heard about any new characters or anything, but they're still updating the game. So it's hanging on. It's got its sub 10K people playing it,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
they're there.
it's better than MVC Infinite then, I guess.
Had its first dead day on consoles last week.
Yep, nobody playing. But I mean, that's got to be embarrassing though, right? Like, this is your big franchise, and you just fell behind Killer Instinct. Like, how do you make excuses for that?
Well, Killer Instinct isn't a bad game. It's just on a bad console. Like, it's just on the Xbone, and nobody wants to play it on PC because it has the Xbone association. Yeah, like Combo Fiend. How did you even mess it up that bad, buddy? Oh, right. Characters are just functions. You don't really want Magneto. You can play Nova instead. I remember now. That's how he messed it up.
Oh my goodness.
Do you remember that interview when we covered it?
I vaguely remember that it happened. I don't really internalize much of the data that I hear about fighting games because I can't really pass it. But
it's the worst thing you could say in a crossover fighting game.
like I will grant this bizarre game with this. At least they are trying to do a new IP. It may be the least original new IP that I have ever seen, but it's better than nothing. At least they tried. They may not have tried hard enough for my tastes, but they tried.
Yeah. I mean, I like horror games, but you ain't selling me this game with a standard Super Meter Punching game.
Yeah, it's not.
Unless this game turns out to be, MLG swag awesome to play, I'm not touching it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many to play already, and for the first time in a long time, there are a number of competitive, good fighting games available. Like,
read anime, not Capcom fighters.
Yeah, not Capcom ones. Capcom ones are dumb, but like you can play Dragon Ball Fighters. You can play BlazBlue is still very credible. The new Guilty Gear is, I think, the most gorgeous fighter around. There's the Cross Tag Battle one that came out, which is going to be at least popular for a while. And
it's really hanging on too. Like, I thought that game would die after a month, but no, they've cleaned up the lobbies and compressed them, and all the lobbies are still full.
Yeah, and that by itself is enough to perpetuate a fighting game. If you can maintain the impression of a strong community, is far more important than actually having huge numbers. People need to be able to see that they have huge numbers. So,
yeah, there's like 40-ish lobbies that have 64 slots, and they're all full in America.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked at the other servers. You can freely flip between them, but the American servers are full, like, all the time in Cross Tag.
Yeah,
I have to wait in the queue.
I thought it was going to be a gimmick, but it's hung on admirably. Anyway, I don't think I've really got much more to say about this weird title.
Yeah, it was mostly we don't know about it.
Yeah.
If y'all know what this is, let us know, because we don't have a clue. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I did watch that trailer, and I felt that that weird freeze frame thing that it does on Impacts was a bit disproportionately exaggerated compared to other fighting games that use it. And it sort of made it look like the frame rate was bad.
It could also be just trailer editing. I don't know.
It could be. Maybe they exaggerated it that way. But that if it is to that extent on the live version of it, like, that seems to me like a thing that would actually get annoying to play very quickly.
I could see why you would do something like that, to give offensive options more time to process in the brain what you want to set up after you land a hit, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, let's move on to something stupid.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna segue we don't know to, we've talked about this before, but we call it out every time it happens. The Resident Evil 2 Collector's Edition has been announced for Europe.
Hooray.
And on the box, special deluxe packaging is included in what you get.
Yep. Because that's the most important thing in any collector's edition, is that the box be super swank.
Yeah, we have made it a habit to, in any time a game that gets its collector edition on the front page, we check it to see if the box is listed on one of the features.
There's us actually, and that one is about $200, I think. That it's got a the usual collector's edition crap in it, which some people care about. Most of the stuff's not particularly interesting. The Japanese, on the other hand, have access to a super premium version of it, which is like $700, but it comes with a typewriter styled keyboard.
Yeah, like the save stations in the game. So yeah, you get this old school, like 1970s push ink tap keyboard with the big honking buttons you have to jam all the way down like a good 4 inches to get them to click.
I don't know that it will be a very good keyboard, but it is at least novel. It's more imaginative than most of the crap that they stick in these collector's editions.
If it had a USB cable on it and you could plug it into your computer, that would be a novel thing you could have. That would be funny.
Well, it's just Bluetooth.
Just plug that in one day. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's legit.
That's what I heard. It's Bluetooth.
That's cool. You can plug that into your PC and totally use it as a talking point during a LAN party or something. Oh, that's cool. Our collector edition is not nearly as cool. The Europe and America one, you get 5 costumes for characters in the game, 2 for Leon, 3 for Claire, because of course the girl gets more. As it should be. It's more fun to dress up girls.
Yeah, I really don't care to dress up dudes. Like,
yeah.
When it comes to outfitting male avatars, basically I want them to look like a giant slab of metal most of the time.
Like, there's a plateau of coolness you can do with a dude, but there are different degrees and flavors of cute and pretty you can do with a girl. But once you hit a certain point in cool with a dude, it's just not that big a deal to switch to different flavors of cool.
Yeah, I think I more or less agree with that.
So yeah, they get costumes. You get a deluxe weapon, which is the Samurai Edge Albert Wesker model, which, for those that don't know, is a stupid OP weapon and basically will probably break the game. This weapon in every single game it's been in has been basically able to two-shot anything if you get headshots. So probably not something you want to play through your first playthrough with. The ability to swap soundtracks with the original version, not sure why you would do that. Have you heard the original OST? It's compressed as crap. For the game, of course, which is listed on the packaging. So thankfully they included the game this time, as unfortunately has been a thing we've had to call out a few times. The special deluxe packaging, extra DLC pack cards. So I guess that's the season pass card equivalent. So you get the season pass if you buy the collector edition, as you should. You've already dumped this much money into the franchise. You deserve to get the DLC for free. You get a 12-inch Leon figure, which doesn't look like that bad of a figure. It looks like it has some pretty good detail on it from the picture, but we know, because of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, the Easter egg effect. So this thing may not be as advertised in the picture.
You're going to have to elaborate on that. I don't think everybody bears that as presently in mind as you do.
Okay, so the collector edition for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came with 6 Infinity Stones in a box. In the picture, these looked like they were glowy, like you could take them out, like they were cool looking. They came in this nice felt box. What you actually got was some Easter eggs with an LED light in them that were permanently sealed that were glued into the box with cheap plastic instead of felt.
It was so like that. They didn't get sued for that. Like seriously, I mean, good grief.
They posted on the original advertisement, products may vary by region or something like that.
Products may be not the product that we advertised.
Yeah, contents may vary in select regions. But yeah, you got like this egg foam plasticky thing with Easter eggs with an LED light in it.
It's just I feel so bad for anybody who bought that. Now I think it was a dumb tchotchke to begin with. Like it's not. I don't think it's actually cool getting Infinity Stones. Like because you can't do anything with them. You can't even really display them because you know they're not worth looking at. They're just lights. But if you did actually think it was cool to find something that's so much worse still than even that. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine it. Like it's just so bad.
The very first comment on this Niche Gamer article is a picture of it. I posted it in the Discord.
Oh my goodness me. Goodness gracious me.
Yeah. Ugh, just the Easter eggs. Everybody remembers the Easter eggs. So never forget the Easter eggs. So unfortunately, because of those Easter eggs, we can no longer trust what's on any collector edition box, especially from Capcom.
Oh, Capcom. Why are you always going to screw the pooch this way?
Yeah. You get some keys that look like the different types of keys you would get in the game to unlock the doors that I don't think unlock anything. I think they're just there. Okay. You get a badge from the police force, the Made in Heaven badge, and you get an art book and a soundtrack.
The usual.
Yeah. So yeah. And you get a poster. It's not a bad poster, but I mean, do you really want Raccoon City Police Station poster?
Usually a collector's edition has to be pretty darn exceptional before I'll actually think about investing in it. Like, I just don't buy those things. Yeah.
It's got to be a franchise I love.
I don't have to, prop up my monitor the way Ari does.
Yeah. Yeah, I need the WoW collector editions to prop up my monitors. Oh, I forgot about them and forgot that World of Warcraft was literally in front of me every day.
Yep, now you're going to see them and be reminded, oh, it's there. Remember those previous expansions? What fun.
I'm going to take this barbecue potato chip bag that I ate that I was going to throw away in a few minutes and put it right in front of the World of Warcraft logo.
To conceal it carefully from view.
I'm partially serious about keeping it there. I'm not going back. It's not happening. Whoop, that was the wrong button.
What did you press?
Let's see. Oh, I jumped in the lobby instead of clicking on show host. Let's see. Do you want to pick the next one?
Let's see. I can only see the Resident Evil ones on my screen. Let's see, what are we looking at here?
I'm not sure about the Bethesda one. I mostly stuck it there so you could look at it. But
okay, we'll talk about Diablo 3 then, I guess. So, Diablo 3 is getting released on Switch. This must be one of the things that they were talking about. Oh, we're working on Diablo 3 products, guys! You excited? Diablo 3? Excited about Diablo 3? Everybody's excited about Diablo 3, right?
On Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diablo 3 would have been fun to have on Switch 5-6 years ago?
You know, when Diablo was relevant in any way?
Back before the disaster patch? Yeah.
let's be fair. The Switch is a super popular console. Surprisingly, from what I can tell, people love it. I don't know why, but yeah, people love it. And this might be a good fit. I don't know. Wasn't Titan's Quest going to come on it? Wasn't that a thing?
Maybe. I think I recall something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that was the case, but you know, so
Regulars. Yeah.
it might be a credible idea. Like, is that something people want? Do they want to take Diablo around with them and play that with them? Like, portable? Do people actually use that functionality? Like, do people use it more as a console in front of the television, or do people use it more as a portable device? I don't even know.
I do not know. I mean, I've had extraneous circumstances like vacation where I've used it as portable, but that's been about it. And, you know, we are not the demographic to ask for regular Switch use when it comes to this kind of stuff. We are the exact wrong demographic. We are the ones that park our butts in a computer chair and play on our computers and consoles.
That's how I like it, yes.
That's how we've done it, and we're not changing. Get off our lawn. Yeah, I don't know. I think people pick it up and take it places. I've seen them do it. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, then what do you think Diablo lends itself to most effectively?
As a portable game, I think it would be fine, honestly. Especially in the iteration it's in right now.
Where it's
I think it's
like dumbed down beyond belief.
Yeah, like, you don't gotta pay attention, you just make progress by pressing the X button. Like, that seems to suit the model just fine. In that sense, I understand why they're doing it.
Nintendo Hard has been replaced by Nintendo Easy.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, Nintendo Hard is not a thing anymore.
Yeah, I still, even though I said that I would go back and I would try and play some more of Diablo 3, I've never actually been able to motivate myself to do it. It's just not, it's not cool. It's not fun. It's not challenging. It's not anything. It's just busy work.
It's just a thing. The bag of potato chips was annoying me on my desk, so I had to move it.
Oh, I guess you're going to go back to WoW then.
Nope. All of these thoughts running through my head. Blinding my sight in a curtain of red.
Is this some kind of terrible revenge that you're paying toward me?
You're the one that started the meme.
I didn't mean to. Like, you brought it up, and then it just sort of got stuck. I didn't feel like I could do anything about it at that point.
It's just... it'll die soon, don't worry. Just go on the DMC Reddit, or the Devil May Cry Reddit, and just watch how bad it's been run to the ground.
Yeah. I don't know, like, a lot of the memes on the FGO Reddit persist for a very long time. Like, even though they are seasonal, they still last a long time after the fact. Like, we're going into, as I mentioned, FBI joke season, because Prisma. But, you know, these things persist.
Oh, dear.
What else do we have? Do we have anything else? Because, like, as much as Blizzard wants me to care about Diablo on the Switch, like, that's really boring news. Seriously, guys, like, this was the best you could do. This was what was your exciting news. You've got to be kidding me.
Well, we know Blizzard lies to you.
Well, it's not a lie in this case. It's just a really boring truth.
Well, it's not exciting news. They promised exciting news.
I don't know if they did or not. It sounds like something they might say. News. We need more news. We need more news. This is not a news busy week. Come on, guys.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Here's a meme.
What? I can't see live show chat. I don't have that channel up.
I'll post it in the show host.
I'm switching to it. We're supposed to be live. We're supposed to be. Oh, that meme. I don't even understand that meme. Like, I just don't get it.
I don't either.
It seems to be sort of like the meme du jour of that song. Bang, bang, bang. Pull my devil trigger. But I don't understand the joke at all.
I don't either.
I'm not even sure if there is a joke, or whether the joke is that there's no joke, or what.
I don't know. Here's a better one. And here's one that makes me feel old.
I switched all the way to the live show chat channel, and this is what you do.
Well, you said you couldn't see them, so I started posting them there, and I had that one open. You can...
Anyway. Oh, those are awful memes. Awful memes. Visual gag, folks. If you want to find out what it is that Ari is tormenting me with, you can easily do so by going to vtwproductions.com and clicking on the No Excuses Show logo on any of our recent show posts to see the Discord live chat channel where you can see Ari furiously memeing at me during the show. Which does not thrill me at all.
Yeah. So... Alright, folks. Don't know if there's anything else really we got laying around. I don't really know enough about the Bethesda thing.
Yeah, it's weird news anyway. Like, I don't understand what bearing that has on Bethesda or the gaming industry. Bethesda, who made less money with their entire Fallout franchise than FGO has made since it was released.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a true fact, but it's something that I read online, and it's funny enough to be a true fact. Because the gacha is a little bit special.
Yeah.
Anyone who's been ensnared by the gacha knows. They know. They know. More news. Dead air. Dead air.
I know it's dead air. I'm trying to find something to talk about, but I'm not finding anything. All right, folks. I think we're going to wrap the show a little... Well, not quite early. We're about on time.
We netted on that long?
Yeah, we got 2 hours.
Huh. Crazy.
Crazy. Smoking 6 times.
What?
No. I'm on the Devil May Cry Reddit. Crazy is one of the ranks you can get in Devil May Cry. Okay. So, I think we're done, folks. We have an email. Thank you, Sarah, this, but you can write another one if you want. And we'll read that the week after that. Let's see. Email topic of the week is bang, 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 pull my devil trigger.
No. No, I will not accept. Will not accept it. You're a criminal. I don't know why you would do this to me.
Just go to Devil May Cry Reddit and sort by top posts of the past year, and you'll find all the devil trigger names you'll need forever to ruin it.
Ugh. Memes. Memes are cancer. Please stop memeing.
Oh dear. Alright, folks. I think we are done. Closing comments go.
Come back, Fern. We need you. We can't do this alone.
The Librarian and Marshmallow Show is not the best iteration of the show. At all.
I think you are setting new records with understatement there.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, we'll put you out of your misery for this show. We'll see you next week with a Fern again, hopefully. And things will get much better. Sayonara, bye-bye.
Gunners are hacks.
Yeah. They were hacks even back when we were playing.
I would have thought that they would have kind of brought them into line by now. Like, just eased them back. But apparently that's not a priority. Okay, no. Nothing lives long enough for me to use Time Bomb on them. think I'm going to stop using mana missiles as well, because if I use it, the thing that I'm firing at will just die. I want to have fun here, which means I want to fight something. I don't want it to just explode. I'm still broadcasting, aren't I?
I think so. I don't know.